The first thing I saw was my own signature. It sprawled across the bottom of a typed confession, ink pressed so hard it had torn the paper. My name. My handwriting. My crime. I don't remember this, I said, but my voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone speaking through a vent. The detective across the metal table didn't blink. You walked in at 12:17 a.m., covered in blood. Asked to confess. I looked down at my hands. They were clean now, scrubbed raw, but I could still smell iron lodged somewhere deep in my sinuses. My knuckles ached. You said you stabbed him, she continued, sliding a photograph toward me. Daniel. My brother-in-law. Smiling in the photo, arm around my sister, backyard barbecue last summer. In the crime scene picture beneath it, he lay crumpled on his kitchen tile, eyes open, shirt dark with blood. Something inside me folded in on itself. I didn't, I whispered. You described the knife, she said. Where you threw it. We found it exactly where you said. A roaring filled my ears. I pressed my palms to my temples. I have episodes, I said. I sleepwalk. She leaned back. Convenient. It wasn't convenient. It was a curse. I've been sleepwalking since I was 8. My mother used to find me standing in the yard at night, staring at nothing. Once, I woke up on the roof. As an adult, it faded, until a year ago, after my sister moved in with us. After Daniel started coming around more. You were always so protective, the detective said, watching me carefully. You didn't like him. I didn't answer. Because that part was true. Daniel had a temper he wore like cologne. Subtle at first. Sharp jokes that cut a little too deep. A grip on my sister's wrist that lasted a beat too long. She insisted everything was fine. She always insisted. The night before the murder, we'd argued. I remember that much. He'd laughed at me when I told him to stop talking to her like that. Told me I was unstable. Dramatic. Sleepwalking psycho, he'd said, grinning. After that, nothing. Just darkness. Until the interrogation room. You expect us to believe, the detective said, that you sleep-stabbed a man 16 times and then drove yourself here to confess? I expect you to believe I don't remember, I shot back. She studied me for a long moment, then gathered the photos. You're being charged with second-degree murder. We'll sort out the rest in court. They put me in a holding cell that smelled like sweat and bleach. I sat on the narrow bench and replayed the blank space in my mind, pressing against it like a bruise. Sleepwalking, it had always been harmless. Wandering. Murmuring. Once, making a sandwich and leaving the knife in the sink. The knife. A flicker. I saw a kitchen. Not Daniel's. Mine. A whisper of memory brushed my skin, my sister's voice, trembling. Please, she had said. My heart began to pound. When my sister came to see me the next day, her eyes were swollen. She clutched the phone between us with both hands. I'm so sorry, she said. For what? My voice was hoarse. For everything. Did he hurt you? I asked. She flinched. That was answer enough. You came over last night, she said quietly. You don't remember? I shook my head. He was screaming. He'd been drinking. Her breath hitched. He shoved me into the counter. You just stepped between us. Another flicker. Daniel's face inches from mine. Spit flying as he shouted. My pulse roaring in my ears. You told him to leave, she continued. He grabbed a knife from the block. I thought, she swallowed. I thought he was going to kill you. The room seemed to tilt. What happened? I whispered. You went still, she said. Like you weren't there anymore. Your eyes looked wrong. Empty. Cold crept down my spine. He lunged, she said. And then. The rest came back in a violent rush. The glint of steel. His hand on my throat. My vision narrowing to a pinpoint. And something inside me snapping. I didn't remember deciding. I remembered moving. Fast. Grabbing his wrist. Twisting. The knife changing hands. His shock. The first thrust had been instinct. The rest had been fear. He'd fallen. My sister screaming. Blood pooling across tile. I staggered back from the memory like it could still cut me. I told you to run, I breathed. She nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. You said you'd handle it. That you'd always handle it. I had. Since we were kids. When our father drank too much. When doors slammed and plates shattered. I would step between them, take the shouting, the blows. I learned to leave my body when things got bad. To let something colder take over. Sleepwalking wasn't wandering. It was surviving. I went to the police, I said slowly. You kissed my forehead, she whispered. You said, it's okay. I know what to do. That was the part that gutted me. I had known. I signed the confession because I believed I deserved to. Because somewhere deep down, I still thought protecting her meant paying the price. It was self-defense, she said fiercely. I'll tell them. I looked at my torn knuckles. At the faint rust-colored stain still hiding beneath my nail bed. 16 times. Fear can look like rage when it's written in blood. Tell them everything, I said. About him. About Dad. About all of it. The trial took months. They dissected my mind like it was another crime scene. Experts testified about dissociation, trauma responses, parasomnias. The prosecutor called me volatile. Dangerous. But my sister spoke. She described the years of quiet bruises. The night in the kitchen. The way Daniel had raised the knife first. And when the jury came back, I couldn't breathe. Not guilty. The words rang hollow and enormous all at once. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions about sleep disorders and vigilantism. I ignored them. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, afraid to close my eyes. Around midnight, I sat up. Not because I was sleepwalking. Because I was awake. I walked to the kitchen and stood very still, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator. My sister was asleep down the hall, safe. I pressed my palms to the counter and felt the cool stone beneath them. For the first time, the blank space inside my mind wasn't empty. It was mine. And I knew that if darkness ever reached for her again, I wouldn't need to be asleep to stop it.